What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Mitch here, back with another NBA game recap. The Raptors defeated the Boston Celtics 107-97 tonight in an Eastern Conference clash. The retooled Raptors look refreshed after the All-Star break, adding a couple of key players to their playoff puzzle and defeating the Boston Celtics and the hot Isaiah Thomas 107-97. The Celtics still second place in the Eastern Conference. Raptors are trying to gain ground on the Celtics and Washington as they head into the playoffs in the Eastern Conference. But it was a really good showing for the Raptors. I'm going to get into the players' stats. I'm going to get into talking about the game, what I thought of the game, and what I thought of the Raptors and Celtics going forward. So the Raptors did take this one a little bit shockingly. I mean, especially in the first half, we saw a Celtics team that was, again, hitting on all cylinders, especially offensively, hitting a number of threes. Isaiah Thomas was on fire. A lot of guys were just really in the zone for the Celtics. But for the team leaders tonight, Demar Derozan was the big difference. Once he started to turn it on in the third quarter, he just took over the game and was really that offensive piece for the Raptors in this game that was able to overcome the Celtics in this game to win it. The Raptors, with DeMar DeRozan, he had 43 points in this game. Isaiah Thomas was the leader for the Celtics with 20 points. Amir Johnson led the rebounds for the Celtics with 6, and PJ Tucker had 10 boards for the Raptors. 6 assists for Carl Joseph. Carl Joseph filled in for Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry was out of this game with a hurt wrist. It's unknown really when he's going to be back, but I was looking at this game in particular to see how Corey Joseph would respond to having the new point guard, being the starter in this game, basically, and seeing how he could command the offense. He's been a pretty solid player for the Raptors throughout his career now, but I wanted to see if he could take that next step and maybe even provide the Raptors with another option off the bench once Lowry is back in the playoffs that could really command the bench players. Isaiah Thomas had 5 assists for the Celtics as well and led in that department. The game was kind of up and down. The first half was a little boring. The Celtics dominated the first quarter 29-18. We went into the second quarter where things started to even out. The Raptors actually beat the Celtics in the second quarter, but it remained a pretty far out of reach game for the Raptors going into halftime. And then the Raptors took over. They won the third quarter. They won the fourth quarter by 13 points. And then they ended up winning the game by 10. So the Celtics overall, they got a number of contributions from a number of players, as they usually do, especially offensively. Crowder was hitting some threes. He had 19 points in this game. Horford was a little surprisingly quiet in this game. He only really had, he only took like 5 shots. He made 3 of them. Had 8 points in this game, 5 rebounds, assist, and a steal. He is mostly known for his defensive game, but he was kind of, nowhere to be found on the offensive side of the ball. And then they had Isaiah Thomas, who had 20 points. Obviously, he's going to be the fixture in Boston's offense, but he didn't have himself a great game. He only shot 35% from the field. He did have a couple of threes in this game. He had 3 of 10. But shot, he missed 7 of them. So he wasn't, fantastic tonight. He did have sort of an off game offensively, defensively. It seemed like they did a really good job, especially in the second half, of double teaming and, sliding and helping on Isaiah Thomas. Even when he would beat his guy, there would be help there. So Isaiah Thomas was kind of the focal point for the Raptors defense to take away. And I think a big reason why the Raptors were able to win this game was their 2 new additions. Their 2 new additions being Serge Ibaka, who is, one of the best defensive players in the NBA, has been since he's really entered the NBA. He had 15 points, 7 rebounds, 1 steal, 1 block, was 7 for 12, and even had a 3 in this game. So he was very, very good in this game. He had 6 defensive rebounds. So Serge Ibaka was one of those guys that was able to help on the defensive end, and that's what they brought him in for mostly. He is a guy that, similar to last year, they had, Biyombo, who was really good on the defensive side, but he wasn't really a big contributor on the offensive side. Now they're hoping to have a guy like Ibaka who can not only give you some great defense, some big-time plays from the defensive end with the blocks and the steals and all that, but also come on the offensive side of the ball, and a guy that can score, 15 points a game, hit a 3 or 2, and spread the offense out, and, rely on another guy that's not named DeRozan, not named Lowry. So Ibaka does give them that. Valanciunas actually was quiet. He only played 17 minutes in this game, had 7 points, 6 rebounds. DeRozan, again, was absolutely the best player in this game. 43 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and was 15 for 28 with a 53.6 field goal percentage. He was also 33% from three-point land. So DeRozan was very, very good on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, he was hitting shots outside. He was getting a ton of separation for his shot, his own shot. He was beating guys one-on-one on the baseline. He was making nice passes. DeRozan was definitely the best player in this game, especially in the second half, and he totally took it over. I was impressed with Corey Joseph. He had 6 assists, 11 points, 1 rebound, 3 steals, and was definitely crucial to slowing down Isaiah Thomas. So he was big. Patrick Patterson is another guy that I like for the Raptors. He's kind of one of these versatile players. He can hit shots from outside. He was, pretty good on the offensive side of the end, or offensive side of the court with 11 points. And also defensively, he's a guy that can actually guard a number of positions. So Patrick Patterson is a versatile player that is nice. But PJ Tucker is another addition that they just got from the Phoenix Suns, had 9 points, 10 rebounds, and was just really disruptive on the defensive side. And you could just tell that, this guy wants to have a run in the playoffs. He's been on a terrible Suns team for a while now. And, he really showed a lot of passion, hard work, and just added a different element of experience, leadership to the defensive side of the Raptors. I think one of the big things for the Raptors is in the playoffs in the past, they haven't really had great guys on the defensive side, but now that they brought in Ibaka, now that they brought in Tucker, it will give them that extra element in the playoffs. Not only with DeRozan and Lowry to score and another number of other complementary pieces on the offensive side of the end, but they also have a couple of defensive guys that they can rely on. For Boston, I mean, this was one of their weaker games. I think something going forward is going to be, in the playoffs, is definitely going to have to question where is the offensive output going to come from besides Isaiah Thomas. In this game, they did get 19 from Marcus Smart, who was actually pretty impressive. In this game, Jaylen Brown had 13 and Crowder had 19 as well. But it just seemed like everything runs through Isaiah Thomas. If he's not going, then the team's not going. And that might be the biggest downfall for the Celtics in the playoffs. But this game was a pretty exciting game for a regular season NBA contest. I enjoyed watching it, especially in the second half. And the Raptors take it 107-97. Just was their day on their home court with a couple of new additions to their team that gave them some momentum. Let's see and let's hope that this gives the Raptors some momentum going forward. But the Celtics are still a team to look out for in the playoffs. I just think the Raptors, with these additions, has added an element to their team that is a little bit scary for the rest of the Eastern Conference. I still think that they're not necessarily one of the favorites. I still think you have to say the Cavs and the Celtics are the favorites in this conference, but the Raptors are, right there with them. So don't overlook the Raptors going into the Eastern Conference playoffs. This is Mitch of the Bottom Line View. Thanks, guys, for watching. Hope you enjoyed this recap of the Celtics and the Raptors. It's Mitch of the Bottom Line View. Continue to watch. My next game, I believe, will be Monday or Tuesday. Depends. Or Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. I think it's another Celtics game that's going to be my next game. It might even be Celtics Cavs, but I could be totally wrong. But make sure you check out the rest of the NBA recaps on the Bottom Line View. Just like 3-4 a week on the Bottom Line View. The biggest games in the NBA will be recapped here on the channel. Thanks, guys, for watching, and peace out.